Good morning. I am Shulin. I am a yoga teacher, a Reiki healer, an Akashic, astrologer, all the things. I'm a coach, and I help people at turning points in their life, basically gain clarity. And there can be so many different levels of turning point. So I just love to support people find clarity that is true for them from inside. And not dictated by what they see outside. And that has a lot to do with my own journey. So we're in a time right now where the greatest technology is what we have come here with. Our bodies, our sensibilities, inner and outer, and our intuition and our discernment. And we can grow all of those just like muscles. And one of the greatest things that you can do for your body is to care for it in the way that it wants to be cared for. And that is going to be different for every single person. So as some of you know, lately I have come into a Pilates obsession, which isn't, not uncommon, right? For many people, it's trending all over the world. I will say this though, it wasn't, I'm sure the trend had something to do with it, seeing it posted all over Instagram and social media. It wasn't until I actually went to a class. Well, 10 years ago, I went to a formal mat Pilates class, and after about 45, 50 minutes, right, and granted, I was used to 90-minute hot yoga classes, same class every time, the classical hot yoga, and, I needed that. I needed to sweat. I needed to work really hard. I was also doing the advanced series and some other conditioning exercises, so I had a whole program going on. I wasn't wanting anything. I wasn't missing anything. I didn't notice that I was missing anything. I felt great. I was also doing some vinyasa at the time. I went with a friend to a 50-minute mat class, and I didn't even feel like I was doing that much. The movements were very small. They were very precise. I just went along with what the teacher was sharing. It was when I left and walked out of that classroom that I was like, oh my gosh, like I had a completely different sense of my body from within. And I even said to myself, wow, if I could incorporate this regularly into my existing routine, this would be amazing. And I don't know, I just got distracted. I just went back to what I knew, what was easy. I just didn't go back. And fast forward 10 years, literally, this was 2016 and now 2026. End of 2025, but still. My boyfriend brought me to a Pilates reformer class. I fell in love with it. I was like, okay, cool. I'm just open. I'm here. Let's see what happens. Again, it was when I walked out of that class and I was like, oh my gosh, I feel amazing. And what I mean by feeling amazing is that I felt this inner sense of stability. That's the best way I know how to describe it. That I just felt stable and aligned and strong from like the most center of my physical being, radiating outward. Now, since then, so what happened is I felt amazing. I felt so good. I felt so strong, stable, and aligned. Those are like really key words. After that reformer class, I was so sore for 2 weeks probably. And I did not go back to that Pilates class. I loved it. But I had to like work out all that soreness. And I was like, wow, that's really intense. Like, and it kind of sneaks up on you. And then maybe it was like not until a month later. So I went back to my hot yoga practice. And then maybe a month later, a girlfriend said, oh, I'm going tomorrow morning. Do you want to go? So I thought about it and I was like, okay, I'm feeling better. I go. I tell the teacher, like, look, I have not been building muscle for years now. And that goes back to the health crisis that I had in 2022, 2023, and that I've been recovering from ever since, which I'm doing great, and there's still like phases of that, and that's a whole other story that I'll share about. So I go to the class, I tell the teacher, like, look, I have not been strength training for a long time. I'm not that strong. I'm gonna go easy. I just wanna see how I'm doing because the last class was my first class in a long time, and I was sore for a long time. She's like, oh, no problem, and she was great. And actually it ended up just being me and my friend, and this teacher was amazing. They all are, the ones that I went to. They were so good. I love them so much. They helped me fall in love with Pilates and specifically reformer. she was like, no problem. She's giving us exercises, and it was really sweet. It was like having a private duet. So she really, I'm sure she had a class plan, but she watched us very carefully. She tailored. And after the class, I was like, okay, that feels pretty good. And she looks at me kind of like, Shulin, like, you're pretty strong. And I'm like, okay. I'm like, well, yeah, okay, yes, I'm strong. I can do the exercises, but I just don't know how I'm going to be after. So that's why I'm like, I want to ease into it. And she's like, yeah, that totally makes sense. And you did look very strong. So I love her. She's so amazing. So after that class, I actually felt, I think, pretty good. And then I don't know if it was like a week or 2 weeks later, I just went for it. They have up on this chalkboard that classic Pilates saying, after 10 sessions, you'll feel better. After 20 sessions, you'll see it in your body. In 30 sessions, you'll have a whole new body. And so they sold like a promo pack for 30 classes for 3 months. So obviously I fell in love, and pretty much as soon as I signed up for that 30 class pass, I was talking to the teachers and just curious, like, where had they done their training? And they led me to different directions. And, I know about myself that when I get into something, I get very into it. And, I gave myself a little time, like, because even after that first class that my boyfriend took me to, that I got really sore and then I didn't go back for a month, I was already like, okay, I love this. I want to do training, But I waited to see like how my body did. In the meantime, I started looking up the places that people were recommending to me. And I landed on this random YouTube video. I don't even know. I mean, there's a ton of videos about Pilates and classes and trainings, equipment, all the things. And I just really resonated. And this woman was saying that she just wanted to do it, and she found this training and she connected with it by her intuition. I checked it out. I also connected with it by intuition. It just felt really good. The vibe felt good. The elements felt good. Plus it was online, and at this point in my life, I want something that is going to be flexible and suitable for me, and also where I can do what I'm looking to do with this. This is a lot about the sense of stability that I experienced as an energy healer, knowing that it's very easy to kind of go out in space, and that right now it's really important that we're bringing all that energy back into our body and grounding in the here and now in this 3D earth realm. And also because of things that I had gone through with my health and autoimmune and the way that my body would work when it came to energy. And it has since shifted. But this just like, when you land on something and it just feels like a freaking major clue in the puzzle piece of your existence, your being, your life, everything you're working on. And that's what this has been for me. So I don't know. I don't have all the answers. I am just exploring, as I have through all the many years that I have explored with movement. And I'm experimenting with my own body. I have some clients and some students that I'm also working with, and people with injuries that I'm talking to, and just kind of like working through puzzle pieces. But my primary interest is around those who work with consciousness and energy, and creating a sense of stability and groundedness and truly embodiment. So bringing all of that, not where we have to meditate and go out to reach, heightened states, but where we can bring all that energy back into the body. And, I am looking forward to even being more clear of what I am seeking through this, but I know that this brings a lot of pieces together, because this particular training that I chose with Neu Pilates, which I posted about, again, and I'll say it over and over, I just love how they bring together intuition, energetics, physiotherapy, fascia, the classical Pilates exercises with some contemporary threads. And the two of them, Lara and Jen, the way they partner, it is so synergistic. Like, it's such a beautiful model of true partnership, collaboration, in service to humanity, in service to people who need help in their bodies, in their lives. And so I love that. And then not to mention that I said it's online, it's flexible, and I will say they have been so responsive. Sometimes it can feel when you're doing something online like it's completely just disconnected, anonymous. You don't know if you can really trust them, if they're going to be there for you. I felt from the get-go, I knew they were going to be there for me. I reached out to another popular studio that offers an online training. They're primarily focused on their in-person studios. And I got no response, and I got sent through this like customer service loop. And when I tried, I emailed, I called, I messaged on Instagram. Weeks later, I got this like very standard kind of like regurgitated email. Now, not that the training is bad, but it was really about actually if I felt connection or not, and I didn't. I love that I found this, and I'm telling you, so even before I signed up, they have a link, you can book a call. It's like a 15-minute call, but she stayed on with me for almost an hour, and we talked through every single thing. We got all my questions answered. And then she even, identified like how enthusiastic I am and my experience, my background in movement and healing. And she was like, you would make a great ambassador. And so I got to represent them, which is really cool. And, a little bit of me was like, okay, let me go at this slowly because I want to know what I'm representing, So I did some of the training first. I dabbled in the different exercises, including their online workout program. But really, it was the learning materials that I wanted to work with first and see if it really resonated for me. I am 100% Virgo through and through. I am detail-oriented. I catch things. Yes, I can also be very absent-minded and messy. But I'm also very thorough, and I'm also 1-3 in human design. So I'm a super duper researcher, and then I'm also like completely dive in, let me try this for myself, because I need to see and really know and be able to speak to it from experience. So before I even signed up, I booked a call, I talked with them. It was such a beautiful vibe. We even talked about like our human design and astrology. It was awesome. I also put in my email address and signed up for their little mini course, which are snippets from their actual training. I'm going to tell you, like, I highly recommend anybody does that. I learned so much from those little free snippets of their physio cues that they incorporate into their Pilates exercises that I already started turning around and using in my yoga teaching and with my private clients, in my group classes and my private clients. And it made such a difference. You can see in bodies how they respond. And I did that because in my own body, from that free little mini series, I got so much out of it. And I'm like, if I'm getting so much out of this, like just imagine what I'm gonna get out of the entire training. So it was a no-brainer for me. Even when I spoke with some of the teachers at the studio, I was talking with them and, they were checking in, have you decided yet? And I shared, like, I found this one. And even they were like, oh yeah, that's a good one. And I'm like, thank you so much for looking at it and affirming that for me. Because obviously they're very experienced teachers, teaching for years. They've done wonderful quality trainings in person, some online. So it was really awesome to hear them say that. And I, the bottom line, I really felt it inside. I just knew. And so I've signed up. And since then, I've been very happy with what I'm getting. As I'm going through the exercises, things are clicking, like for functional movement and the Pilates exercises. So personally, what I love for me on a personal note is that now if I'm going to a class or I'm doing an online workout, I at least know the foundational principles so that I can ensure that I'm having proper alignment. And I would highly recommend that for anybody who is interested in getting like a home fitness studio, getting a Pilates reformer or any of the equipment at home. I did Pilates-esque workouts or fusion workouts that incorporated Pilates before, but I didn't enjoy them and I didn't get the results and I didn't feel the way that I feel in my body today because I did not really know what I was doing. So I actually kind of tugged at things and pulled things and got sore in places that I actually really didn't need to if I had known really what I was doing. And now I feel like I have like the simple foundation. I'm so excited to share with others because I think it's really going to help many, many people, especially those that I know who are dealing with injury that just won't go away and it's keeping them from doing other movements and other activities in their lives that they love. These are going to be such simple therapeutic practices to realign the body, train the muscles properly. That's what this is all about, is proper entrainment of the motor patterns and the muscle groups in the proper sequence. That's the whole thing. When we get injured or something happens and our motor pattern and muscle firing gets out of whack, which it does in injury, actually on purpose in order to prevent pain, more inflammation, and to help the injury heal. It's those deep layers of muscle. They go, oh, let me hold back. And then the other muscles start compensating. It's just for that period of time. Ideally, then you retrain everything. But that doesn't always happen. And so those inner muscles that are really meant to hold us together and stabilize, they're not working. They're just, they get out of practice. And so we need to retrain those. So there's so many benefits to this. And yes, it's fun and it's trending. There have been workouts I've gone to where I'm like, ooh, I totally feel like a Pilates princess. The music is playing. I'm like, yeah, I'm really feeling myself. But I will say just the simple movements and the focus and the breathing, similar to yoga, but the engagement and the sequence of firing is very different. At least that's what I'm finding so far. And I am in a deep dive inquiry because I really want to understand. I've been doing yoga for so many years and I'm so passionate about it. And I didn't realize until I had this experience in my body that anything was missing. So anyway, I am on a deep dive inquiry and I'm just curious. I'm like a scientist. I'm like an investigator. I'm just going in and seeing what can I find out, how much can I learn, and how much can I help myself and others. So all that to say, one more thing about the training that I love is that, I saw people posting for each of the videos. So all of the exercises are broken up into little bite-sized videos and I spend my time with them. They also have the training manual that has like worksheets where you can break down the firing sequence of the muscles, the benefits, the red flags, the cues, all sorts of different notes. You can actually have it laid out, which is going to be really helpful for the open book exam that comes later. So think of like a Kajabi or any kind of learning portal where there's the video and you're basically going lesson by lesson, completing each lesson. And there is a place where you can post comments or ask questions. And I had seen that people from like 2025 and maybe earlier this year had been posting questions and getting them answered. And so I was like, all right, well, let me try this out and see if somebody responds. So I posted my questions and they did. Within basically days, no more than a week, I got responses to my questions from all the different faculty. Just one response per question, but still it was like varying who it was, including the primary faculty. And they really take their time and they're very thoughtful about their responses because they know that this lives on. They know that this is creating an ongoing collective accumulating database of information. There's even some videos where, now there's an update. And so they're like, thank you so much for asking me that question. Yeah, let's add this to the body of knowledge that we are building here, which is so awesome. I did opt for the complete bundle, partly because I just want to know everything and anything. And secondly, because it gives you lifetime access. So I believe that if you opt for the smaller bundles like just the mat or just the mat and reformer, you'll have it for a year, and that's fine. And it's also an incentive to get going with your training. But I just knew that I already wanted to know the rehab, the chair, the springboard, and I also wanted more time. I just wanted to have it on hand forever. And there's also a fascia component. So then the last thing I will say is that they also do live monthly Q&A, so I'm hoping to make that tomorrow. I have all my questions gathered up, including things that I want to ask about certain clients that I'm working with and the best ways to support them. And then they partner with Fortus Pilates, which creates equipment. They are based in Canada, so there are some caveats to purchasing from Fortus. They only have so much stock in supply in their US warehouses. And so I was interested in the reformer and also the springboard because there is an attachment, but you have to have the right reformer with the attachment thing on it. And they didn't have that in stock in the US. And the whole thing about it, as we know, is the tariffs between countries are so high right now. So they're not restocking currently their US warehouse. So you really have to decide. I did my research, I read all the reviews, I spoke with the folks over at Neu Pilates, and they really shared about the quality. And I'll say it's the quality 100%. I've only worked on a balance body reformer. This is giving me everything I need. Plus, for the price, which was really only about $2,000 US, I got a box, I got an extra set of straps. They come with actually 6 springs already installed. They are the same springs actually on the balance body, but you get 1 extra spring. Plus, you get the extra, what do they call it? The buttons. You get like 2 rows of buttons instead of 1. So you can play a lot with the different spring resistances, which is great. And these springs, I don't know if it's because I'm still breaking them in, that could be it, but they are strong. It has taken me a bit to work up to the reds. And my understanding, it's the same, again, same springs on the Marathon. So, Marathon was recommended to me. If I wanted to invest that much, like 100%. They are beautiful machines. I have not tried one in person. I would probably do that first before I purchase it. I didn't try this in person, but because of the reviews and because of only knowing the Balance Body Bravo, I thought, you know what, for the price and the customer service, as you can tell, is very important to me, hands down. They were responding to me within minutes, maybe an hour at most. It is Greg and his partner, Keisha, I hope I'm saying her name properly. They're so sweet, so knowledgeable, so nice. This is such quality. This is the aluminum reformer, and they also make a maple version. They have a lot of different versions, so when you go online, you just have to be careful and just email them or call them. They are so responsive, so helpful, so attentive, and they will help you get exactly what you need. The leather is very nice. It's so comfortable to lie on. There's so much out there when it comes to reformers, and you just don't know, like especially when you start to go down in price and it's with a name brand that is unfamiliar, you really don't know. Like I did not want to get into that territory. I wanted to make sure that I was speaking to people who knew their stuff and could recommend reasonable options, right? And this was so reasonable. I also got a jump board and an extra foot platform. And I'm able to do everything I need to do, even with online workouts that have reformers that have more equipment going on. As long as I just stick with the reformer workout, I have everything I need if I throw in like a ball, a ring, and or circle, and some free weights. Like there are going to be some extra supplies that you can get. But I am telling you, and it is so easy. They say that you can set it up in 10 minutes. You can set it up in 10 minutes. And the whole strap situation, which I was like very intimidated by, is actually so easy. If you want me to show you exactly how to do it, I can, but Fortus also has a very clear video, and their manual is very clear on how to do it. Honestly, the hardest part of getting the reformer is the day it delivers. It comes in this huge box that looks like a coffin, and it's already kind of falling apart, and I had to have, thank God my boyfriend was here because he pulled that apart, and I don't know what I would have done. I would have waited until he came, and it would have been sitting outside, and it was gonna rain. And then luckily I had somebody coming to the house who had a truck and made dumpster runs. So it all worked out very perfectly for me. But just know, that's the hardest part. It's about 200 pounds, and so you have to figure out how to get it out of the box and into your home, and then discard of all the packaging. But once you do and you get it set up in the place where you want it, so easy to set up. It is so fun. I love it so much. And it also came with a 2-month free subscription to Natural Pilates TV, which I had no familiarity whatsoever, but you know me, the 1-3 in human design. I looked it up. I tried some of the workouts, and now I'm diving in. What I love about them is that they focus on athletic Pilates workouts, but they also have some basic ones. So when I'm feeling, worked out and I just want to move a little bit, but less of a burn, I can also do some of those. That's a lot. I was not expecting to share all of that. I was actually going to dive into my own workout, but I wanted to share a few things before I got started. So let me know if you have any other questions that I can answer for you. So I'm excited to find what comes through me, how I can help, And I know that I truly have a passion for those who specifically work with energy or who are on their awakening journey and looking for ways to ground in the body and truly be in that phase of embodiment on their awakening journey. So, love you all.